Okay, so this is the key shot. Jamie somehow, I haven't seen it, has not completed the four-back peel.
He hit in when he was for one back.
He,
So Jamie hit in a 15-yarder when he was for one back and four back. So Jamie is now for four back and four back after a hoop and roquet at one back. He cannot score four back for his striker ball blue unless he succeeds in this peel. He had to do a load and hold at three back, rush black all the way down. Now he has to drag jump. He must drag jump black. If black does not go through the hoop doesn't count for blue. And he's done it. The latest possible four back peel while scoring four back.
the rest of this game should be fascinating.
Pete has had trouble hitting the ball straight, so he's on 2 and 4. And I believe it would be a good finish from one back and four back and a big load and hold and a straight four back peel if Jamie could just peg off blue and leave black for penalt against 2 and 4. We'll see if he's able to get there, because at the moment he's giving a lift to contact. And without a break really pulled together, it's now quite risky. There are 4 balls in the game. If he doesn't finish this turn with a leave or pegging out blue, there will be 4 balls on the lawn, giving Pete Trimmer, a very strong player, contact and a chance to set up his own triple in 2 turns. Yeah, this game, because of the automatic contact when a striker scores 4 back, it plays a little bit like the end of a sextuple, where it is very much worth it for Jamie to try this double peel. Good center ball. See if it stops. So he's going to have a go at this straight double. He's put red behind penalt so that if black sails through down to rover, which would be ideal, he can make the hoop to red and still have a chance to get a rush on black to peeling position at rover. The trouble is in color order. If he hits red first going through the hoop, he must then hit black, and he will not be allowed to hit yellow until after he hits black. So unlike AC, he can't really use that yellow ball unless it's after he tries the peel attempt on black. All right, so black has failed the peel. This would be a good time to kind of reassess. He might just try to make the hoop and reassess. Now he could hit red, then black, and make rover off of yellow. So we're looking at more of a reasonable play here is to peg out blue and leave red and yellow in the game with black for penalt. We'll see if Jamie, though, decides to go beyond reason and try to peel penalt here. With a roll peel, he might be able to get black through penalt and get all the way down to a rush on yellow, which is not an ideal rover ball. Yellow is about 3 or 4 yards east of rover. He's got black to the front side of the hoop, but he wouldn't. The hoop is in the way of blue rolling down to yellow, so he's taking off. He may still try the peel on his way to the peg out. So he rover and box against 2 and 4 is a stronger position than penalt and box. We'll see if he's able to get through rover. This is quite risky. Again, Peter has a lift to contact coming. If Jamie leaves all 4 balls in the game, it's likely that Pete will take good control, set a good leave. If not, just run a break immediately if Jamie fails to score this hoop or make a good roquet. He's through rover. So we'll see now if he tries to set up a leave scenario, maybe clubbing balls off boundary. Nope.
I think it's much more valuable.
He's going for the peel. So instead of trying to leave red and yellow 2 balls on boundaries, he's going to try to peel black and peg out. So he sends yellow away from 4, which is red's hoop. Ooh, almost hit the peg there, which might not have been the end of the world. Not pegging out is a bigger problem than not getting the peel.
Right.
Getting the peel and not pegging out would be quite bad. giving Pete contact and 4 balls in the game. So he's hit yellow, which forced him then to hit red. He could not hit yellow, then blue, or yellow, then black. So now he's had yellow and red. He can only roquet black, and he wants to try one last attempt at the penult peel, and I assume pegging off blue. Now, yellow is for 2, so he's going to croquet red away from hoop 2 while trying to adjust black, have a go at the roll peel, but it's of paramount importance that he sails past penult himself and gets a makeable peg-out shot. So this will be a split roll to try to get himself down to a 3-yard peg-out. We'll see. He's got the peel. Is black going to be in the way? A little jump peg-out? No, I think we'd see a big shake of the head if he had to jump it. Here he goes. Rover and box against 2 and 4.
Can we bring them here and keep filming? No, you can't. All right,
Yeah, it's.
heat upset.
Can
they stop for a minute and we go over there?
Yeah, sure. Let's ask Pete. I think Pete will be fine waiting a minute, but changing courts is a different story.
Hey, Pete.
Mr. Trimmer's turn here off a contact. Jamie Burch started the last turn at 1 back and 4 back. He hit in, got all the balls, had an unfortunate hoop and roquet, and because of color order, it very much hindered what he could accomplish until he tried a load and hold at 3 back, sending partner down to 4 back where he had to peel. He rushed to 4 back, had a drag jump, couldn't get the penult peel until after rover. And now Pete has a contact lift. So Pete is playing his hoop 2 ball, and he's sent partner down to 2, and he's going to hit the rover ball, the 1 ball of Jamie's left in the game. And I assume he's going to be sending it far away while hoping to hold position at 2. Now, in color order, a 3-ball break is quite difficult. In regular AC, he probably wouldn't try a load and hold, and having 2 balls on lawn and a rush to his hoop, Pete would have stood a very good chance of running a 3-ball break all the way to the peg if he wanted. In color order croquet, after hitting red, he can hit black, but if he were to make a hoop and hit black, he would not be allowed to hit red because it is not the next ball in color order. After black would be yellow, which is the striker, which is exempted, and then blue, which is now out of the game. So Pete needed to do a load and hold instead of just rushing black and making the hoop off of black. So there's a big hoop here. Great shot. You can see this game is meant for somewhat easy conditions. These hoops have not been tightened to McRobb Shield tournament conditions with a 64th of an inch. There's a large iguana behind there. If Pete weren't so focused on the game, oh, there, he sees it. He's seen his iguana that he wanted to see on his trip. Now if he can just hit the 8-yarder, he'll be doubly happy. Nice return, Roque. Great cut. Really helps him because, once again, the procedure for running a 3-ball break involves loading and holding every hoop because he must hit red first if he wants to roquet black. Howard showing off his lawn bowling skills. So Pete is not going to be sending red to hoop 4 the way that one would in traditional AC. Pete is sending red as reception at hoop 3. And then if he wants to continue the 3-ball, he would rush black to the north boundary and have to do a load and hold, sending black down towards 4 while holding position at 3. In practice, Pete has gotten quite good at the 2-on-1. He was practicing earlier today. One of the things we may have decided is that the 3-ball being a low odds turn to actually get the ball all the way around to 4 back in this case, he might quickly leave black behind and continue with a 2-ball on partner, or even set a leave 40 yards away from black. The risk of leaving black 2 balls relatively close to hit, especially when black only has 1 hoop to make, might not be worth the benefit of this difficult 3-ball break where he must complete load and holds. In this case, he won't have a load and hold. He can't get black very far. So that tells me he was not planning on continuing the 3-ball. He's going to make the hoop to red, and he's going to just hit red and probably set some sort of leave rolling far away. He might try to roll position at 4. By his body language, it's entirely possible he was planning on hitting black first and just realized the error of his ways. So he could send red away and then move black again and then join red at the end of his turn. So he might be sending red far towards corner 2 or the west boundary. Then he might be sending red away to the east boundary, try to maximize their distance apart before joining partner. The black ball, for its interests, color order dictates which ball black will shoot at almost every turn if given the chance. So if given the chance, black would like to shoot at and hit red because the next ball in sequence is black being the striker, meaning the next ball black is allowed to roquet. After roqueting, red would be yellow. Now if black were to hit in and hit yellow, the next ball in sequence would be blue, which is out of the game. So black would not be allowed to make another roquet if black were to hit in on yellow. So now Pete has maintained color order and taken the long rush down to 4 with oppo. So a risky play, and at this point, he's unlikely to be able to hit red again unless he runs a hoop down towards red. So that could be hoop 5, but possibly hoop 6. Again, we might see Pete opt for a leave, putting, black far away from red and yellow and trying to survive a shot. It's quite risky to be running the 2-ball with the oppo when oppo only has 1 hoop remaining. Again, the game is meant to be played top players in easy conditions was kind of the impetus for this game. So a great hoop shot on hoops that are not set to a max standard, but probably around a 1/16 of an inch clearance. It was mowed and rolled today. They may have put them in new hoop holes. So it's not backyard wide hoops. At this point, Pete looks to be going to continue the break. He's sending black beyond 5, I believe. Possibly all the way down to 6 if he wanted to make 5 down towards red. We shall see based on his shot choice. Trying to figure out how to use the shepherd's crook on this croquet stroke. May have clubbed it, may just stop. Oh, just stopped, giving him a good possible shot. Here he may benefit from attempting to give it a real full swing all the way down to red, because if he roquets red first, then he can roquet black. All the way down to red. And he's turned a 2-ball into a 3-ball, which is quite difficult to do in color order AC. He's abandoned the 3-ball and picked it back up with that hoop shot and this subsequent roquet. So he can hit red and leave it behind 6 and then get a rush on black to 6 to continue the break. So despite my cautious tactics, he has abandoned the 3-ball only to pick it up 2 hoops later with a great hoop shot and roquet. The load and holds get easier when you are at hoops 4, 6, and 4 back. So this next hoop coming up, it's not terribly difficult to send black 5 to 7 yards over from 6 to 7 while holding position at 6. So this is a good time to run the 3-ball, lower risk than other hoops. Other hoops, the load and hold is a long shot and as we saw at hoop 3, it sometimes is best to just end up with a long rush to the hoop rather than having to approach the hoop from 7 yards. This is his rush to 6, but he already has a reception ball. So any hit on black, if he doesn't want to do a croquet stroke, he can just do a takeoff. Run 6 to red, and he'll still have an opportunity to rush black to 7. So this is a little bit long for the approach to 6. He might just put on the blinders, go with the plan, and drive black over to 7. Or black is very rushable to 7. So if he left it there or sent it somewhere that was an easier stroke for him, he could take off or do a small full roll to position. Looks like he's just going for the drive shot. Might be like a third roll to try to hold position at 6 and send black somewhere over towards 7. Yeah, so not quite a drive shot, a little bit of a roll, and he doesn't quite have the touch on that roll. Even on these hoops, that might prove to be too difficult. Now, the real problem is he's already had both balls, and he's left black a short shot on red. If we remember from color order, that means if black hits red, wherever yellow goes, black could take off to it and try to get a rush. Or, if it's closer to rover, he might take off from red to yellow just so that he would have a takeoff to his hoop from yellow. So this is where it gets a little bit more complicated than in traditional AC, club the ball off to a corner, because black has an order of roqueing. It must roquet in color order. So leaving yellow near black is not as big of a risk. It's possible he could scatter black off the west boundary. And so long as yellow doesn't stop leaving black a rush, that could help make it harder for black, because black could hit yellow, but then it would not be allowed to hit red. He might benefit from a scatter. He might benefit from scattering them off the west boundary so long as he doesn't leave a rush on yellow. The scatter?
No, he's saying to go out behind hoop 2, wire from black, and you have to select the shot.
You don't care if black hits yellow. You care if black hits red. I mean, you can't. The only way to wire red would be lag to black and try to block its shot on red, like a GC play. So he's run away towards corner 4. It might be a long takeoff from red to yellow, but it's not a terribly long takeoff from yellow to position at rover. So this might incentivize Jamie, if he hits in on red, to come to yellow. The problem is, if Jamie takes off to rover and runs rover, Pete has put a reception ball down here for Jamie. The south boundary was probably not a great idea. I would argue maybe corner 2 might have been a better play. Corner 3, it's possible Jamie rushes red to there, but it's hard to get a rush from a corner 3 ball to rover. We'll see if it hurts him. We'll see if Jamie can hit in here. He's hit red, but he might have hoops in the way of his approach. He's rushed it almost middle of the center of the north boundary. But he might be able to take off just past Penalt and the peg. And again, that yellow ball on the south boundary could function as reception if he scores rover. Well, it was possible to hit red towards corner 3. So maybe corner 2, I would argue. Shoot at yellow? Fine. Then he can't rush red. If he had hit yellow in corner 2, he just has a take off to rover. So I wouldn't. That's why I thought maybe yellow clubbing black off the west boundary and hoping yellow and black both go to the line was a good play, rather than feeding him a reception ball. But you would never do it in AC. Scatter so that you and black are joined on the west boundary would be absurd. Quite a big hoop shot here. This could be the game. everything but through. See Jamie's nod with a bit of a smirk is because that's quite a good leave for the 1 ball against 2. It's a jawsed ball that's difficult to hit, and Pete's other ball is 35 yards apart. If Pete does not hit in here, Jamie stands to make Rover and have a go at the peg out, or a roquet, which would make the peg out easy. Pete doesn't want to play red down at black or at yellow. If red were to miss black, it would give Jamie the sure finish. So he wants to get yellow off the south boundary, and half of black is a bigger target than a 35-yarder at red. Oh, or he's going to red. If he hit, that would allow him to come down and move black out of the hoop. So he must have thought the full ball at 35 yards was a bigger target than black from 10 or 12. Jamie's looking to see if he can score the hoop down to a position where maybe he's open on the peg. He might even look at doubles. If somehow he's able to go through to the east, he might be able to have the peg and both oppo balls as a big, albeit lengthy, triple target. I don't know if he's well enough jaws to truly control where he goes, but we'll see. Yeah, he's come off the eastern wire. He may see the peg, but it won't be a double with the opponent balls. Again, he may see the peg, but not by much. He's somehow missed Rover by nothing and missed the peg on the side we assumed he was wired from. That is very hard luck. A great shot if he was aiming to miss Rover by nothing. He did exactly that and somehow missed the 9-yard peg out. Feeding yellow all 3 balls on the north boundary, and yellow is in the orientation such that it can hit red first and get a rush on black to 6, running 6 all the way to red. So this will allow Pete to immediately rebuild the 3 ball. Of course, the 3 ball around the outside hoops is still quite difficult to run. So we have 6 and 4 against peg and box. This game should either be 3 amazing turns by Pete or many, many shots for Jamie to try to hit a ball or the peg. Don't know if he wants a cannon. Not sure what you would do with the cannon that's any different than leaving red there, where he could run 6 all the way to the north boundary. Going to ask Pete's practice opponent from the 2-on-1 today, Stephen Forster, see if we have any insights on how the 2-on-1 was played earlier, to see if Pete's going to try to run this 3-ball around the outer 4 hoops, or do you think he might drop it for a 2-ball break as these load and holds get tougher and tougher? What do you think, Stephen?
I think he'll try to get the 3-ball break started and have control that way. I don't think his 2-balling will be too crash hot. I know when he played me, I wasn't on the peg when we were doing a practice session. I was on 1, and his ball movement then was just to try and hide all the time. But I think he needs to get to fall back to make himself have a chance to get a peel before Jamie hits the peg, and just give him Jamie long shots and get that peel done, and then set up maybe just fall back ball after he peels it, get it to the peg, and then do whatever he can to get to the peg with the other ball.
All right. So, yeah, the practice today, Stephen's ball was for 1, and his other ball had been pegged out. The concept was a TPO, or a New Zealand TPO had been run to peg off Stephen's other ball in practice. So a very different scenario when the 1 ball in the game is for peg versus when it's for 1. So when it was for 1 in practice, it sounds like Pete did a lot of just hiding and giving Stephen long shots. But this desperate situation leaves Pete trying to just run the 3-ball to give Jamie fewer shots. As we saw, Jamie was able to miss the peg by nothing from 9 yards, and Pete would rather not give him any more shots at the peg, at least none from closer than 9 yards. So we'll see. One of the rules of color order you may remember from the opening, the first ball of a team through 4-back must be peeled. So despite that was how Jamie ended up with a drag jump, a necessary drag jump at 4-back because he hadn't yet peeled 4-back. And having knocked his partner ball through, he was allowed to score the hoop on that same shot. So Pete, having no balls at 4-back, needs to get a ball to 4-back, theoretically yellow, and then he must peel 4-back before red will be allowed to score 4-back for itself. So a long road ahead for the 2 balls to win in this 2-on-1, which is why it was very reasonable for Jamie to peg off the blue ball despite having not finished the triple. This does add to interactivity in the game after a failed triple, but it may still be a bit one-sided for the 1-ball team in this scenario. That is partly what we're here to find out playing the Croquet Innovations Tournament, is if these rules favor one side or cause play to be fairly clear as to what the tactics are. And what we would like is to make it interesting so that the tactics aren't always so obvious that you fail the triple and peg off your ball because the 2 balls never win. So if Pete were able to pull this off, it might go a long way to convincing people that if Jamie gets 2 peels and pegs off a ball and still loses against 2 and 4, maybe it's not the greatest tactic. We'll see, but it would take some good turns here. And that gives Pete a lot more play than he had previously in the game with his clips on 2 and 4. He's seemingly found his stroke, certainly running hoops well. Tough, critical hoops with the opponent right behind him, including that one there. Again, at any point of this 3-ball, because it involves load and holds, if he doesn't send that oppo far away, then every hoop shot he takes, oppo has an easy roquet. And with black for the peg, all he needs is a roquet, and he's likely to peg out from anywhere on the lawn. So now he's made a big long rush, sending red away. He is not giving a lift, having scored 1 back, because the expiration of the ending of the entitlement to lifts in Law 39 of AC still applies here. So Jamie has pegged out a ball. So he is no longer entitled to hoop lifts at 1 back and 4 back, and in fact, he's not entitled to the contact lift when Pete's striker ball eventually, possibly, scores 4 back. But Pete still has to peel his first ball through 4 back, even though the second ball will not be giving a contact lift. Now Pete had a long roquet on red, so he rushed red away, managed to send it almost to very reasonable reception ball status at 2 back, but he didn't quite get a good rush on black. So it's going to be a tough load and hold. This is one where, because he'll be approaching from, looks like 10 yards, he's probably going to send black pretty far away here. The odds of him getting great position and making the hoop and hitting red have been diminished by that rush. So I would not be surprised to see red all the way at 3 back or past 3 back outside the box intentionally to stretch the shot, or a more conservative player might be trying to send black over towards 4 back, far, far away, just to stretch out the shot because the likelihood of getting position and running the hoop is low. So here he's sending it to 3 back, possibly a little past 3 back, to see if he can maintain the break by running 2 back and hitting red. And this is where the 2-on-1 gets a lot more interactive, because a 3-ball break involves shots you would almost never take on in traditional AC. But he's done it, got himself a straight 2-yard hoop shot, sent black deep and far to stretch out the distance of maybe 14 yards. But it's still a very reasonable 3-back pioneer. Great hoop by Pete. Almost too good as he's run it to the line and Oh, does he get the yard back? Ah. The one time the NCC boundary did not hill off. Gentle go and a great roquet. A full 8-yarder from as close to the boundary as you could get without coming a yard back on. Pete has made the roquet. What a stupendous load and hold. I don't know that I've ever seen that in traditional AC, certainly not in the midst of a 3-ball break. So quite a play by Pete. Play proving quite difficult with this color order. Now he can send red to reception at 3-back if he would like. But he's got to take a minute because 3-back will be the last hoop of his break. He is, again, not allowed to run 4-back. The first time his team has a ball through 4-back must be a peel. So yellow has one more hoop to make, and then he has to turn the innings over to Jamie. Ideally, leaving Jamie some 42-yard shot from corner to corner only on yellow, so that Jamie, even if he hit, would not be allowed a rush. Of course, Jamie being for peg, any hit would likely end the game for Jamie if he hits in. So theoretically, Pete would also like to wire Jamie on the peg. Make it a 42-yarder where Jamie can't hit the peg. And we'll see if he can achieve any sort of distance like that. And then the excitement would really begin, with red trying to run a break and get a peel on yellow at some point. This game is turning out to be both interesting and fun. A great roll, putting red in reception so he can rush it deep into the corner to maximize the distance after he makes 3-back, because I assume then he will want to rush black away to corner 2. So that red will be buried in corner 4 near its hoop, and he can rush black away to corner 2, preferably wiring it on the peg, leaving Jamie some 40-yard, longer than a tea lady shot as his game-winning hit-in before Pete attempts to run more hoops with red. Jamie, after Pete's early play, getting clips to 2 and 4, did you expect this level of execution at this point in the game?
Absolutely, I did, yes.
Was he due?
Yes.
There it is. Shooters gotta shoot. All the players here are top 200 in the world. I believe Pete's around 70 right now in AC, which closely resembles this game. So he's scored 3-back. He's made the 4 hoops he could make on this turn. There was no need to peel red through 4. Now, once again, you see these very experienced players, Pete himself being author and editor of Beyond Expert Croquet Tactics. You don't often see him stop to think about tactics because he knows it. He wrote it. But here, the color order roquet throws off the rotation of what you would normally do in AC. So he has to be sure that he doesn't hit the wrong ball and make his other roquet invalid. He has to be sure to hit the balls in the right order so that he can do everything that he wants to do in the game. So here I believe he's hitting red first, so he can rush black away. So he wants red to have a semblance of a leave with 2 balls near corner 4, near red's hoop, which is hoop 4. And he's going to try to stretch out black's shot as far as possible. Again, I assume near corner 2. I would guess that north boundary, there's a steel chair. And that way, he could try to wire black from the peg and lag back to partner. It does seem as though he's making a different play. So he's sending red down towards 3? Is he sending red to the middle of the east boundary? Curious. All right, just level with 4 on the east boundary, and he did get the rush on black. Now yellow's for 4 back, so no risk of a grievous here. He can really club black diagonally across the lawn. We'll see if he's going to try to get wires. If he could wire black from the peg is probably the biggest help. At this point, you don't worry about black being wired on red and open on yellow, which was possibly a worry earlier. As now any roquet black makes, it'll just take off to the peg. It doesn't need a rush. Now, a severe cut I don't think was the plan. So now he'll be sending black away, and it is unlikely to be wired from the peg. His other option would be to stuff black in the jaws of 4, but that would give him a wiring lift. So I don't assume he wants Jamie to be able to lift to a balk and shoot it red, or some other relatively short shot. We may hear as he comes off the lawn in a few shots here what the plan was. He was maybe cutting it over to be near corner 1, possibly using hoops 1 and 2 to wire Jamie from red. Maybe he was trying to cut a little bit towards corner 2. We'll find out. All I know is he doesn't want to leave that ball near the peg, and he wants to try to make Jamie's hit in as long as possible, whether it's at the peg or one of Pete's 2 balls. This does beg the question why he moved red up the boundary instead of focusing on getting a good rush on black. He's stopping it away. Does it miss the peg? No, Pete. He has center pegged from 13 yards, which is quite difficult. There is maybe one play left that could save the game if Pete can scatter black away from the peg and get Jamie to miss some sort of hit in. But there's really nothing else. He can't run his hoop. He can't hit red or roquet red or black, but he could scatter black. If he could scatter black away to level with 1 on the west boundary, and in a perfect world, he goes up towards corner 2. But then Jamie could still lag at the peg. He's scattered, but a center ball scatter. It will make Jamie's shot harder, but instead of a 1-yard peg out, he'll have a 4-yard roquet. Yeah. We'll see if Jamie remembers that hitting red first allows him to get a rush on yellow. So he may consider the 29-yard hit on red so he can get a rush to, what is it for? The peg. Might not be a viable plan. But it is important, to look at your leave and remember color order. Although in this case, any roquet should win the game for Jamie. An interesting end game and some great play by Pete, stymied by the 1-yard draw right into the peg. He's hit. I think we can call it. We'll make sure he moves the ball on his croquet stroke, of course. All right. If you don't mind me asking, Pete, after making 3 back, what was the plan?
What was the plan? I virtually got the leave I wanted.
Well, you moved red north from away from corner 4. What was the goal with that?
Well, I figure that Jamie wants to hit something, and
he's done it. He's finished.
If I could tempt him into taking the long shot, then I'd be very happy. So yeah, if I lay up in the corner, then I think he might just shoot at the peg, and I get nothing. And I really need the balls at the moment, the way I'm playing. So it's better to try and tempt him into taking the shot down into the corner, where he thinks, well, he won't go for me in the corner, so it'll mess him up. I think that's my one real chance.
Okay, so you were making Red's first roquet more difficult by rolling it out of the corner to entice Jamie to shoot at you where a miss would put him in the corner. You thought if you were in the corner, he would not shoot at you.
Right, well, I was going to leave yellow out, so I've got to rush to my hoop. Okay. And I thought that Jamie might think, well, with his ball in the corner, I can't, or close to it, then I can't do much, so he might have taken that shot.
All right, let's come on out. All right, a wonderful plan. Sadly, the 1 yard draw.
But I'd like the two of them to tell us how they got
Incredible
to the point
call.
where Jamie was about to make four, because that's all we've got.
Okay, so
Four back.
sadly, we filmed a whole other game, which has its redemptive qualities, but this was obviously the barn burner match of the round. We were only able to join as Jamie rushed to his straight four-back drag jump necessary peel. What got us to that point with Pete's clips on 2 and 4 and Jamie for four-back and four-back? Can you describe the early play, Jamie?
Well, there was some serious misplay by both players in the early stages of the game. I laid for a sextuple and proceeded to not get a ball in the jaws of one back, but in the jaws of two instead. I then proceeded to attempt a few peels, but to no avail, and ended up on 3 and 4 back. By which time Pete had progressed, I think, to...
I'd got to 2 and 4.
Yeah.
I was just not hitting the ball in a straight line, which in this game is not a helpful thing to do. But yeah, it would have all been over a lot quicker if Jamie had just done the standard going to 4 back. I'm sure he'd have won quite quickly, almost certainly with another TP. But Jamie being Jamie, he stepped up to the mark to attempt the first ever sextuple in colour order AC. The first time it's ever been attempted in competition.
So having won the game, have you decided that the sextuple tactic is still obviously your best bet?
It's without doubt the winning tactic.
Okay. All right. So thank you both. Congratulations. Hope you have many more exciting matches this week. That was Jamie Burch beating Pete Trimmer 26-12 with no letters to go with his stupendous 2 peels on a turn and no peels on a sextuple attempt. But we'll see how his attempt goes next time. That's Ben Rothman from the National Croquet Center and the Croquet Innovations Tournament 3 in 2023. Thank you for watching.